The ultra-successful understand something that many overlook. The first few hours of your day set the tone for everything that follows. They don't wake up with chaos or randomness. They begin each day with structure, clarity, and intention. So this is not just about waking up early, it's about us waking up with purpose. What separates the successful from the average isn't just how hard they work, it's how they prepare to work. And that preparation starts in the morning. The morning routine is more than a series of tasks, it's a system of errors, mental, physical, and emotional alignment. When you wake up and immediately check your phone, answer emails, or scroll through social media, your mind is reacting to the world instead of directing it. The ultra-successful refuse to let the world dictate their mindset. They know that the first moments of the day belong to them, not to the outside world. They start their day with silence, not noise. Often this means a period of wise meditation, prayer, or reflection. It might be 5 minutes or 15, but it's there. This quiet time isn't about escaping reality, it's about grounding themselves in it. In this silence, they reconnect with their goals, values, and vision. They don't jump into their problems. They center themselves in possibility. This creates a state of focus and clarity that carries throughout the day. After grounding their minds, they often move their bodies. Exercise in the morning isn't about vanity, it's about vitality. A short walk, a workout, stretching, yoga, something that gets the blood flowing and the brain activated. The body in motion sharpens the mind in motion. It's hard to feel tired, anxious, or unmotivated when your body is energized. The ultra-successful use physical movement as a catalyst for mental sharpness. Nutrition follows movement. They don't pour garbage into their body and expect greatness to come out of it. A healthy breakfast fuels them with the energy needed to meet the demands of the day. And it's not just about food, it's about honoring the connection between energy and performance. The successful know that poor health is a barrier to high achievement, so they start fueling their bodies from the first meal onward. Another critical piece of the morning for the ultra-successful is learning. Even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes, they make time to read or listen to something educational or inspirational. A book, a podcast, a journal, something that feeds their mind. They understand that success isn't a destination, it's a skill. And like any skill, it must be sharpened daily. The successful see learning as a ritual, not a luxury. They read not to impress, but to improve. They believe that every great day should begin with a new thought. Then comes planning. The ultra-successful don't let their day unfold by accident. They look at their goals and translate them into daily action steps. What needs to happen today? What are the top 3 priorities? Where should their focus be? They don't just work hard, they work intentionally. They understand the difference between movement and progress. A person can be busy all day and still accomplish nothing meaningful. But someone with a clear plan can achieve powerful outcomes in a few focused hours. The successful don't measure the day by how much they did, but by how much they move the needle toward what matters most. Gratitude is often woven into their mornings too. Whether it's through journaling, a simple mental list, or a moment of appreciation, they take time to acknowledge what's good. Gratitude is not just a feel-good emotion, it's a discipline. It reminds them that success is not just about what they don't have yet, but also about valuing what they've already achieved. A grateful heart creates a positive mind, and a positive mind creates better results. The ultra-successful guard their mornings fiercely. They understand that if they win the morning, they dramatically increase their chances of winning the day. It's not that they don't face problems or distractions. They just meet those challenges gassed with a full tank, not an empty one. Their morning routines are not rigid rules. They are flexible frameworks. They don't aim for perfection. They aim for consistency. In time, these habits compound. One great morning leads to another. One focused day leads to a productive week. Weeks become months and months become years. The ultra-successful don't look for magic. They create momentum. And it all begins when the rest of the world is still asleep. The truth is your morning either sets you up for greatness or leaves you playing catch up all day long. The ultra-successful don't gamble with that time. They invest it. They treat the first hour of their day like the foundation of a skyscraper. Because if the foundation is strong, the structure can rise. And if you want to rise, if you want to go higher, it all begins with what you do when you first open your eyes. The ultra-successful understand a powerful truth. Success is not something you chase blindly. It is something you are led to by wisdom. And where does that wisdom come from? From a steady, intentional habit of reading and learning every single day. These individuals don't treat learning as a task reserved for classrooms or formal education. They see it as a lifelong responsibility. They view the mind as a muscle, and they train it daily. It's no accident that the world's top performers, whether in business, sports, art, or leadership, are also insatiable learners. They make time for reading not because they're required to, but because they know that knowledge is one of the few assets that compounds over time. The daily habit of reading, be it a few pages, a full chapter, or even a quote, acts like a compass. It keeps your direction aligned with your goals. The ultra-successful don't just read anything, they read with purpose. They read biographies of great minds to learn from their struggles and strategies. They study history not to live in the past, but to avoid repeating its mistakes. They read philosophy to build a resilient mindset. They consume books on leadership, discipline, productivity, and human behavior to strengthen their mental framework. It's not just about gathering information, it's about developing insight. Learning isn't only about books either. Podcasts, audiobooks, articles, interviews, courses, these are all tools the successful use to feed their minds. They understand that the format doesn't matter as much as the consistency of the intake. And this habit of daily learning doesn't take hours. Even 15-30 minutes a day creates momentum. That small window of learning is often where the breakthrough happens. One idea, one strategy, one shift in thinking can open up opportunities that previously felt out of reach. The ultra-successful also understand this key principle: success leaves clues. That means if someone has already achieved what you're aiming for, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You need to study their path. And the way to do that is by absorbing their knowledge. Every page of a book is a shortcut to wisdom someone else took years, sometimes decades, to earn. Why stumble through the dark when you can walk by the light of someone else's lamp? But it's not just about reading widely, it's also about reading actively. The successful don't just skim pages. They engage, they underline, highlight, take notes, reflect, and apply. They don't treat reading as entertainment. They treat it as preparation, as strategy, as growth. They aren't interested in reading just for inspiration. They're reading for transformation. Now, one might say they don't have time to read, but the ultra-successful don't look for time. They make time. They understand that every minute spent scrolling aimlessly could be used to sharpen their skills, expand their mindset, or deepen their understandings. They know that the time they invest in learning pays dividends for the rest of their lives. In fact, they see their mind as their greatest asset, and like any great asset, it must be maintained, upgraded, and refined constantly. What's also worth noting is that this habit of daily learning creates humility. The more they learn, the more they realize how much they don't know, and that humility keeps them open, adaptable, and curious. It keeps them asking questions instead of pretending they have all the answers. The world is changing fast, and the ultra-successful stay ahead not by relying on what they know, but by constantly updating what they understand. It's also about mindset. The habit of learning builds confidence. When you know more, you fear less. When you understand your craft, your industry, your mind, you walk into every room with clarity, not confusion. That inner certainty comes not from arrogance, but from a foundation built brick by brick through daily study. And that mindset, steady, calm, focused, is what allows the ultra-successful to navigate chaos, take smart risks, and lead others effectively. And perhaps most importantly, the ultra-successful apply what they learn. Learning without action is just entertainment, but learning paired with action becomes a superpower. Every new concept gets tested, every new strategy gets implemented, every new insight becomes a part of who they are. They don't just know more, they do more because of what they know. This habit of constant learning leads to better decision making, deeper relationships, greater creativity, and stronger leadership. So when we talk about the daily habits of the ultra-successful, reading and learning aren't just side habits, they're core habits. They are the habits that unlock every other habit. They feed discipline, sharpen focus, and multiply growth. And the best part, anyone can start. You don't need a degree. You don't need expensive programs. You need a willingness to grow, a few quiet minutes each day, and the discipline to keep showing up. Because in the end, your future is hidden in your daily routine, and your next breakthrough may already be written on the next page you choose to read. The ultra-successful don't approach their days with a casual attitude. They don't roll out of bed and simply hope the day goes well. They plan with purpose. Every day is treated like a valuable investment, and every hour is a piece of that investment portfolio. While most people drift through the day responding to whatever comes up, the ultra-successful move through their day with intention, clarity, and structure. They understand that time is their most limited resource, and they don't spend it, they allocate it. With the precision of a master strategist, planning with purpose isn't just about creating to-do lists. Anyone can write down a list of tasks. The difference is that the successful align their daily activities with their long-term vision. They ask themselves critical questions. What am I working toward? What must I do today that moves me closer to that outcome? What can I eliminate that doesn't serve that purpose? Their planning is not reactive, it's proactive. They begin with the end in mind and then reverse engineer their actions accordingly. At the start of the day, often the night before, they lay out a roadmap. This roadmap isn't about doing more things, it's about doing the right things. Is key. Not every task carries the same weight. The ultra-successful identify their top priorities, usually 2 or 3 core tasks that, if completed, would make the day a success. These are often high leverage activities, the kind that produce significant results relative to the time invested. Whether it's working on a major project, making a key decision, or deepening an important relationship, they focus on what truly matters. Distractions are the enemy of purpose, and the ultra-successful know this all too well. That's why their planning often includes strategies to protect their time. They block out periods of focused work, turn off unnecessary notifications, and even structure meetings or calls within fixed time slots. This level of discipline allows them to operate from a position of strength rather than stress. They're not rushing through tasks at the last minute. They've created space to think, create, and lead. In addition to focusing on tasks, the ultra-successful also plan their energy. They understand that not every hour of the day is equal. Some parts of the day are better for deep, focused work. Others are better for collaboration, decision-making, or rest, so they schedule important tasks when their mind is sharpest and reserve lower priority tasks for lower energy times. This approach increases both the efficiency and the quality of their work. What's equally important is that they build flexibility into their plans. Life happens, surprises occur, but the successful don't let disruption derail them. Because they have a clear structure, they can adapt without losing their direction. Their day might shift, but their purpose does not. That's the power of planning with intention. It gives you a center to return to no matter what the day throws at you. Planning with purpose also includes reviewing commitments. The ultra-successful are not quick to say yes. Before they commit their time, they ask, does this align with my goals? Does this contribute to what I'm building? If the answer is no, they're willing to say no firmly and respectfully. That level of discernment protects their focus and ensures their energy is spent on things that matter. They know that every yes to one thing is a no to something else, often something more important. Their planning often includes time for growth and renewal too. They don't just plan for productivity, they plan for sustainability. That means scheduling breaks, exercise, moments with family, and time to reflect. They know that success is not a sprint, it's a long-distance journey. And without regular renewal, even the most focused person will eventually burn out. Planning isn't just about doing more, it's about being more balanced, more thoughtful, more effective. Over time, this habit of intentional planning becomes second nature. They don't feel overwhelmed when they look at their schedule. They feel empowered. They know what's coming. They know why it matters. And most importantly, they know that each day is a building block in the life they are designing. So while the average person may move through their day reacting to texts, emails, and unexpected tasks, the ultra-successful move through their day directing their focus toward meaningful progress. They don't just hope to make progress. They make progress by planning it. Purposeful planning transforms time into a tool instead of a trap. And when every day is shaped with intention, the future is no longer left to chance. It becomes a product of choice, built one well, planned day at a time. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. And the ultra-successful understand this better than anyone. They don't rely on motivation to get things done. They rely on discipline. They know that motivation may come and go, but discipline is what creates results. This is why they execute with consistency, whether they feel like it or not. They show up when it's hard. They take action when it's inconvenient. They do the work not because it's always exciting, but because it's necessary. They've learned to separate how they feel from what they do, and that separation is a major key to their success. The ultra-successful don't wait for the perfect moment. They don't wait until they're in the mood. They've trained themselves to act on their priorities, not on their emotions. And the way they do this is by building routines and systems. They understand that discipline is not about being rigid. It's about creating a structure that supports their values and goals. They design their environment, schedule, and habits in a way that makes it easier to follow through. They remove temptations, eliminate distractions, and prepare in advance so that when the time comes to execute, there's no internal debate, just action. What gets scheduled gets done. That simple principle guides much of their daily execution. They don't leave their most important tasks to chance. They block out time for them. They protect those time blocks like appointments with their future. These focused blocks of time are used for their most impactful work, whether it's thinking, building, writing, leading, or creating. They understand that random work produces random results. But focused work, done consistently, produces extraordinary results over time. They also embrace the idea of progress over perfection. The ultra-successful know that waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect conditions, or the perfect mindset leads to paralysis. Instead, they take action, evaluate, and adjust. They don't need everything to be flawless. They need it to be moving forward. They take the next best step, then the next, because they know that success doesn't come from one giant leap. It comes from 1,000 small deliberate steps. Execution, even when imperfect, always beats great ideas that never leave the notebook. Resistance is part of the process. There are days when even the most successful don't want to do the work, but they've trained their mind to override the resistance. When it's time to act, they act. This kind of self-leadership is what allows them to operate at a high level consistently. They trust themselves because they've proven that they follow through. That trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes momentum. Day by day, their consistent execution builds a powerful inner belief that they can achieve whatever they commit to. They also understand the value of finishing what they start. In a world full of distractions, starting something is easy. Finishing is rare. The ultra-successful take pride in completion. They track progress. They close loops. They do the work all the way through. That doesn't mean they never pivot or change course, but it means they don't quit just because it gets hard or boring. They stay with it long enough to see results, long enough to learn, and long enough to win. There's also a deeper reason behind their discipline. It's tied to identity. The ultra-successful don't just do disciplined things. They see themselves as disciplined people. Their actions are not random. They're expressions of who they believe themselves to be. When you identify as someone who follows through, who keeps promises, who gets things done, your behavior naturally aligns with that identity. And every time you act with discipline, you reinforce that identity. It becomes a cycle. Identity shapes action, and action strengthens identity. Execution also means doing the work without external validation. The ultra-successful don't need applause to get started. They don't wait for permission or encouragement. They are self-starters. They know that the world rewards results, not intentions. So they stay focused on what they can control, daily action. Whether anyone's watching or not, whether they're being praised or not, they keep moving forward. That level of independence gives them a mental edge in a world that's full of noise and distractions. Finally, they celebrate discipline. They take pride not just in the results they achieve, but in the habits and consistency that produce those results. It's because they understand that success is not a one-time event. It's a byproduct of daily behaviors repeated until they become a way of life. They're not chasing the finish line. They're building a lifestyle that ensures the finish line will come. Discipline is not something they were born with. It's something they built, one decision at a time, one action at a time. And through that discipline, they've earned freedom. Freedom to create, to grow, to lead, and to live on their own terms. The world may admire their success, but it's their discipline, the silent daily effort, that makes it possible. One of the most defining habits of the ultra-successful is their commitment to health and vitality. They understand that their body is the vehicle through which all success must be achieved, and if the body breaks down, the mind cannot function at its best. There is a deep awareness among high achievers that physical energy fuels mental energy, and so they make their health a non-negotiable priority, not occasionally, but daily. Health is not treated as something separate from success. It is treated as a foundation for it. If you don't have the energy to think clearly, to show up with presence, and to endure long hours of deep work, you don't just compromise your well-being, you compromise your vision. For the ultra-successful, exercise is not about vanity. It's about vitality. It's about discipline. It's about staying sharp. Most of them carve out time, often in the early morning, to move their body, not because they have to, but because they know what it unlocks. It unlocks focus. It clears the mind. It increases stamina. A workout isn't just a physical act. It's a mental primer. It sets the tone for the day. When you push your body early, your mind becomes more prepared to handle pressure, to meet challenges, and to respond rather than react. And it's not only about exercise, it's about nutrition too. They feed their body to fuel performance, not just to satisfy cravings. They choose foods that support sustained energy, mental clarity, and emotional stability. They understand that what you eat doesn't just affect your waistline, it affects your brain. Processed, sugary, and heavy foods dull performance. Clean, nutrient-rich foods amplify it. So they make intentional choices that support long-term function over short-term comfort. Sleep is another critical pillar. The ultra-successful don't buy into the myth that sleep is for the weak. They know it's one of the most powerful performance enhancers available. Sleep is where recovery happens. It's where the brain processes information, where decisions are cemented, where creative solutions emerge. Without quality rest, even the most disciplined mind will start to fray. That's why they protect their sleep. They set boundaries around work and screen time, maintain evening rituals, and create an environment conducive to deep, uninterrupted rest. They don't sacrifice their sleep, they optimize it. Stress management is also an essential aspect of their wellness routine. The path to success isn't smooth. It's filled with pressure, uncertainty, and responsibility. But instead of letting stress build up unchecked, the ultra-successful build practices to manage it. Whether it's meditation, journaling, breathwork, nature walks, or quiet time in solitude, they find what grounds them, and they do it consistently. It's because they know that burnout is not a badge of honor, it's a warning sign. And success that costs your health is not success worth keeping. This holistic view of health, physical, mental, emotional, is what enables them to show up at peak capacity day after day. They don't just manage energy, they generate it. They create a system of habits that keep their energy steady and sustainable. So while others crash midweek, they're still building. While others get reactive under pressure, they stay calm. While others burn out, they recover faster. This resilience doesn't come from luck, it comes from daily habits rooted in self-respect. They also understand that how you feel in your body affects how you show up in the world. When you feel strong, healthy, and alive, you carry yourself differently. You speak with more certainty. You engage with more enthusiasm. Your presence has weight. And presence, more than just words or tactics, is what influences and leads others. The ultra-successful don't take that lightly. They protect their presence by protecting their health. And perhaps most importantly, they see health as a form of integrity. They don't separate personal excellence from professional excellence. How you treat your body is a reflection of how seriously you take your own potential. If you're not willing to take care of the one instrument, you have to carry out your mission. So what does that say about your commitment to the mission itself? This mindset shifts health from being optional to being essential. The ultra-successful don't wait for a health scare to take their well-being seriously. They don't wait for burnout to force rest. They plan for it. They build it into their life like any other key metric, because they know that a fatigued body cannot lead, cannot innovate, cannot inspire. Health is not the goal, it's the enabler of every other goal. It allows them to pursue their dreams with vigor, to lead others with clarity, and to serve their purpose without breaking down. In the end, their energy becomes their secret weapon. While others are drained by the demands of success, they are energized by it. Not because they are superhuman, but because they take care of the human machine that powers everything else. That's the difference. And it's a difference anyone can choose to make. One healthy decision, one energized day, one strong habit at a time. The ultra-successful are committed to learning not because they have to be, but because they understand that success is not a fixed destination. It's a continuous evolution. They know that who they are today is not enough to get them where they want to be tomorrow. That's why they make learning a daily habit. a cornerstone of their routine, and not just something they do when convenient. They are students of life, constantly observing, listening, reading, asking questions, and absorbing new ideas. They treat learning as oxygen for growth. It fuels their creativity, strengthens their thinking, and sharpens their decision-making. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing, and the ultra-successful never stop growing. They read, not casually, but deliberately. They read to expand their mindset, to understand different perspectives, to gather wisdom from those who've walked the path before them. Whether it's biographies, business strategy, psychology, philosophy, or leadership, they consume information that stretches their thinking. But they don't just read for volume, they read for application. They're always looking for the one insight, the one sentence, the one shift in thinking that they can implement. It's not about how many books they finish. It's about how deeply they engage with the knowledge and how they turn it into actionable wisdom. Beyond books, they also learn through experience. Every mistake, every failure, every unexpected challenge becomes a source of feedback. They don't shy away from failure, they mine it for lessons. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? How do I grow from this, not shrink because of it? They understand that experience is a powerful teacher when approached with humility. Success teaches confidence, but failure teaches wisdom, and they welcome both as part of the learning process. Mentorship is another tool they actively seek. The ultra-successful don't try to figure everything out on their own. They are humble enough to learn from others. They ask questions. They listen. They observe people who are further ahead and model what works. Whether through formal mentors, peer networks, or indirect learning from leaders they admire, they're always drawing from the insights of others. This openness to guidance accelerates their progress and prevents them from making unnecessary mistakes. They also create time to reflect. Learning isn't just about input, it's also about digestion. The ultra-successful spend time thinking. They ask themselves hard questions. What am I doing that's working? What's not working? Where am I stuck? What patterns am I repeating? This self-awareness allows them to refine their strategies, adjust their approach, and become more effective. Reflection is where learning becomes wisdom, where knowledge turns into clarity and action. They stay curious. Curiosity is the fuel of lifelong learning. The ultra-successful don't pretend to have all the answers. In fact, their growth is driven by the realization that they never will. There's always another level, another insight, another perspective to explore. This curiosity keeps their mind sharp, their spirit young, and their performance dynamic. They're not threatened by what they don't know. They're energized by it. Importantly, they don't confine learning to one area of life. They seek to grow not just as professionals, but as people. They study relationships, communication, spirituality, creativity, and even personal emotions, because they understand that success in business means little if your personal life is a mess. So they aim for whole life mastery, not just financial or career achievement. This broad pursuit of wisdom makes them not just high performers, but wise, balanced, impactful leaders. They also understand that learning without application is just entertainment. So they move quickly from theory to practice. When they learn something valuable, they test it, they integrate it, they measure the results. If it works, they double down. If it doesn't, they adapt. Learning for them is not about sounding smart or collecting ideas. It's about producing better outcomes, making better decisions, and becoming a better version of themselves. In a world that changes rapidly, technologically, economically, culturally, this commitment to learning gives them an unfair advantage. While others cling to what they've always known, the ultra-successful stay ahead by staying adaptable. They embrace change because they're always upgrading their thinking. They're never caught off guard because they've trained themselves to stay open, agile, and ready to evolve. Finally, their love for learning is contagious. It inspires their teams, their families, their communities. Because when people see someone deeply committed to their own growth, it gives them permission to do the same. The ultra-successful become not only students, but teachers by example. Their life sends a message: growth is a choice, learning is a daily practice, and mastery is a journey, not a moment. So in the end, their success isn't built on what they know. It's built on their commitment to never stop learning. They don't chase certainty. They chase understanding. They don't seek a rival. They seek improvement. And that mindset, humble, curious, relentless, is what keeps them growing, succeeding, and making an impact long after others have stopped.